one mission, and it's zero fear. How to improve the lives and livelihoods of firefighters, emergency medical and rescue workers. If you want to get back to basics, to the bedrock foundation of the IAFF, go to our Constitution and bylaws. The very first line of the preamble of our Constitution still rings true today, just as it has for the past 107 years. And I quote, "Strength through united action, guided by intelligence, is the hallmark of trade union organization." End quote. When we face division, when we feel pressures coming at us from the outside and sometimes from within, when we fear what the future will bring for us in the IAFF, remember, we've been here before. This country is divided. The public square is toxic. Each side is cemented into their positions. And it seems as though everyone hates the other side. But this IAFF, we've been here before. We're here to fight our own battles. We're here to do business, not pick a dance partner. Too many people pick sides and won't even listen to the other side. Quite frankly, that's just plain stupid, and it gets you nowhere. Unless your dance partner is in power, and that never lasts forever. Not in the United States, it doesn't, and it never will. Our side, the side we're on, is us, no one else. If we're doing our jobs right in the political world, we must engage with everyone. We might have friends of convenience in elected office, but those friendships must be earned, and they don't last forever. They must continue to be earned every single day on every single issue. You see, it's not about chicken dinners and photo ops. It's not about backslapping and toothy smiles. It's about delivering for our mission, for us, the members of the IAFF, and what we need to accomplish on Capitol Hill and in state houses all across the United States to make our work safer and more secure, to better enable us to provide for our families. That's it. We don't have permanent friends. We don't have permanent enemies. We have permanent issues. Not every Democrat is our friend. Not every Republican is our enemy. You've heard my partner, GST Lima, say that on the stump, and he's right. And it's worth repeating with a little change. Not every Republican is our friend. And not every Democrat is our enemy. It depends on the woman or the man, and it depends on the issue. Do they support our mission? Will they fight for our agenda? Will they work to pass legislation that's critical to us? The letter beside their name doesn't matter. We saw that just before Christmas when the WEP GPO repeal was passed, and the lives of current and future retirees changed for the better. You guys, it's all about victory. You know, everyone, and I mean everyone, said the repeal couldn't happen. Pundits, politicians, even one joint counsel went so far as to say the WEP GPO was dead, one of our own. We had some of our own brothers and sisters telling anyone that would listen that the IAFF had committed political suicide. Shame on them. Despite all that noise, together, we got it done. Right on. The cost to get this right is north of $200 billion over 10 years. That gives you an idea of just how much our retirees and their families have been getting screwed over the last 4 decades. Wins like that don't just happen. If that were the case, this would have been repealed years ago. We had tremendous support from both sides of the aisle. Republican Garrett Graves and Democrat Abigail Spanberger led the way in the House. Republican Susan Collins and Democrat Sherrod Brown led in the Senate. Countless others stepped up to whip the vote. And President Trump lent his support, calling Senate Republicans to help get them on board. In fact, I was in the gallery during the cloture vote. I watched Republican Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina come down and vote no at the rostrum against cloture, against the WEP. As he walked back up the aisle, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio grabbed him. They talked for about 3 minutes or so. Walked back down the aisle, back up to the rostrum, and Senator Scott changed his vote to yes. That's the influence that President Trump had on this vote. And then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer carried through on the promise he made during that rainy rally outside the Capitol to call the vote, to put it on the floor. Still, not everyone wanted to see that pass. Opponents on both sides of the aisle dragged their feet. Some even tried to block the final vote. We stood firm. We didn't give in and we didn't give up. And in the end, at a time when you see very little by the way of bipartisanship here in Washington, the Social Security Fairness Act passed the Senate 76-20. There's plenty of thank yous to go around. And we're hoping to get a few more thank yous during the 119th Congress. But as your president and your leader, I want to thank each and every one of you for the work you did to step up to make this happen. This is one of the biggest victories we've ever had. Thank you. You know, the most important thing we do in this union is work to get each other home from work. The tip of the spear of our mission, I say it all the time, starts in front of a church. Who would have thought that in urban areas like Manhattan, to be battling a 3-alarm brush fire? In New Jersey, in Connecticut, right now in South Carolina, crews face the same dangers. In Maui, we almost lost 2 engine companies. And in this very room, our brothers and sisters were on the front lines of January's devastating LA wildfires. Up in the Palisades, our GST, a captain on LAFD, and about 20 other of his brothers from LAFD retreated to Station 69 and defended it like the Alamo, not to save the station, but to save their own lives as the entire neighborhood was overrun in that area by wildfire. We've been lucky. Maybe St. Florian was on those riding lists. But one of these days, our luck is going to run out. That's why we need to pass legislation like the Wildfire Preparedness and Response Act that will make sure every firefighter has the training and equipment needed to keep us from dying needlessly in a wildfire. Unfortunately, in this profession, we'll always have flag-draped caskets filled with our heroes, our brothers and sisters, in front of a church. We know our oath means we may sacrifice our lives for others. Not everyone makes it home. But those of us that do owe it to those of us that don't to care for the survivors of our fallen. I'm thinking of families like those of Brother Rob Heaney that Dave Hoagland just mentioned, from right here in Washington, D.C., Local 36. A few weeks ago, he lost a tough battle with bladder cancer, leaving behind his wife, Beth, and his 2 children, Molly and Finn. Rob was only 49 years old. That's young. That's why the Honor Act is a priority for us. Protecting our families is our priority. This legislation recognizes the sacrifices of our fallen by including occupational cancer deaths in the PSOB program, extending critical benefits to the survivors of our brothers and sisters who succumb to cancer. We also need to work to make our dangerous job as safe as possible. One of the most important ways we can reduce cancer exposure is by introducing next-generation PPE. We can't rely on the industry to decide what's best for us. That's how we ended up with PFAS-infused bunker gear to begin with. We also have to ensure we're not trading one hazardous chemical for another hazardous chemical. We need to rethink our entire PPE. So we're supporting the PFAS Alternative Act, legislation that will put firefighters, us, at the center of the research into and development of the next generation of bunker gear. You know, as we approach 25 years since the terrorist attacks on 9/11, we still have scores of IAFF members that need access to health care. That's why we need to work to extend funding for the World Trade Center Health Program so that our members get the health care they need without bankrupting their families. That's what's fair. Fair doesn't always win in D.C., but we have a secret weapon, righteousness, and all of us, the IAFF. We have to be able to advocate for each other and for public safety without being fired or without being skipped for a promotion. It's why we have the guardian policy at the IAFF, so we don't leave anybody behind. But a lot of these fights we shouldn't have to fight. That's why we're working, and we all need to band together to pass the Public Safety Free Speech Act, so we have legal protections in order for us to speak the truth. There's nothing more essential than ensuring firefighters and emergency medical workers have a seat at the table, a voice to ensure safe working conditions, fair pay, and strong benefits. That's why, since I became general president, we've worked with affiliates to secure collective bargaining rights at the state and local level. We've won ballot measures in Irving and Wichita Falls, Texas, negotiated more than 5 new contracts in Virginia, and we're seeing wins in Georgia and other states. The IAFF's pivot to state and local initiatives has extended collective bargaining rights to 6,000 members. But we haven't taken our foot off the gas when it comes to getting national legislation in front of Congress, so we can make collective bargaining the law of the land. This is urgently important to us as we see what happened last month in Utah. President Jack Tidrow, our Utah president, negotiated with the Utah Senate Republicans to save collective bargaining for all public employees. But after agreeing to a compromise, other unions reneged on their part of the deal, and we ended up with an anti-worker, anti-public employee law. There were Democrats and Republicans defending collective bargaining. But anti-worker legislation isn't just in Utah. Republicans in several states are looking to endear themselves to right-wing think tanks like ALEC by taking our rights away. We have to stay vigilant. You know, there's only one group of firefighters left in the country working a 72-hour work week. That's our 16th district IAFF members. And it's just plain wrong. We will continue to fight for them to pass the Federal Firefighters Family First Act to reduce the hourly work week. You know, in our 16th district, there's also a lot of talk and anxiety from some of our members over the changes that we're seeing implemented in the federal government. We at the IAFF are in constant communications with the White House. I'm happy to tell you not one IAFF federal firefighter is out of a job. There are other issues that we're working on, including reducing the FLSA work period, repealing the SALT tax, expanding access to cancer screenings, and improving behavioral health support. When you go up the hill tomorrow, remember why you're there. You're talking for your brother firefighter's wife. You're speaking up for your sister firefighter's husband. And you're there for your family and your kids. We need to be friendly with politicians, but make no mistake about it, that doesn't necessarily make them our friends. Oftentimes, firefighters are no more than a tool to some politicians. We're a means to an end. We're part of a transaction meant to be leveraged as part of a politician's carefully curated agenda. Some might call that cynical. It's not. It's just the political reality that we all have to operate in. That's the playing field that we're on, and we have to excel on that field. Our members demand and deserve nothing less. Our Assistant to the General President for Political and Legislative Affairs, Kevin O'Connor, had a good quip last night. He said, "Don't fall in love with politicians. Fall in love with what they can do for our mission." And tomorrow night, President Trump is giving a State of the Union to a joint session of Congress. And I'm very proud to tell you, 4 of our California IAFF members, local and federal, have been invited as guests to the speech by members of Congress. And you can bet 1 or 2 of them will be thrown in front of a camera. Those invitations are proof of the power of the IAFF. These invitations come with an opportunity and an obligation. An opportunity and an obligation to advance our cause, our mission, our priorities, not somebody else's. We have to protect our brand, our mission, and each other. We have to protect the IAFF from being pulled into fights that aren't ours. The IAFF isn't R or D. It's not left or right. It's not center or left of center. It's firefighter. That's it. That's who we are. There's no permanent friends and no permanent enemies in politics. We need to remember that when a politician wants to stand with us, it's because they want a picture next to the IAFF. There's power in that. But we need to remember that those friendships aren't always about us. When you carry the cross of our mission, keep your left hand high. So as we continue to push to advance the political interests of this union, of our brothers and sisters across this country, do so with your true north being united action guided by intelligence. It's worked since 1918. Be you, be strong, be firefighters. God bless you.